Hi everyone and welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. So today I'm here with a video that has been in the works for a while, and this is one that Mark actually inspired me to do and wanted me to have a bit of a rant about, basically, because we were having a whole conversation about some books that were very hard to find in matching editions. And it inspired a whole conversation between us and a whole rant from me about the differing heights and sizes and editions of books. And basically he said, why don't you do a video about this? So I've gone through my shelves and found some of the most annoying books on my shelves for various reasons, mostly size difference. And I'm going to talk about some I don't own anymore because it was so annoying. So we're just going to have a rant about book editions, basically. So let's get started. So the first book I have here is The Places I Cried in Public by Holly Bourne. This was such a pinnacle book for me in my life. I read this one after me and my ex broke up. It was one of the first books I actually read and I was really struggling to read. And this one is basically following a girl who is in an abusive relationship, and some of the stuff that she went through I really resonated with and made me realise how unhealthy my previous relationship had been, and therefore this one does really hold a special place in my heart. I then met Holly a couple of weeks later, it really wasn't long after, and I got emotional meeting her because I had resonated so much with this book, and because of that I ended up buying 2 editions of it. So I'm not entirely sure which one is the foils edition and which one is the Waterstones one. As you can see, these covers I think are exactly the same cover, which is why this is like so not understandable. I think the green sprayed edge one is Waterstones and the purple sprayed edge one is foils, but don't hold me to that. But anyway, the annoying thing is about this one, and I will show you in a better clip because you can't really notice it unless it's on a flat surface, but there is a slight height difference, which I completely don't get because they're the same publisher and the same cover and the same spine and everything, but they have a slight height difference. They do have different ISBNs because they are different special editions, but you can notice this on flat surfaces, and it is slightly annoying on a bookshelf when you put them in a line of paperbacks that are all the same size, but this is just one of those tiny little niggles that I just don't really understand why it's happened. And then we have a very similar thing with the Stormcrow and the Crow Rider by Kailyn Josephson. I really love these books, and I think I initially read both of these as arcs. So I read the Stormcrow as a physical proof, and then I read the Crow Rider as an ebook before it was released. And again, we have a slight height difference with these. Again, this really isn't noticeable, and I've actually included this mainly because there is a different reason, but there is also a slight height difference that you can notice on a shelf when they are flat next to each other. I do absolutely love these books, and the reason that I bought the hardback of the first one, even though I did have a physical copy, is because under the dust jacket is absolutely freaking beautiful. I mean, look at that, this is absolutely beautiful. So I actually think I bought this one at Yelp because I'd literally just read the book. This was Yelp 2019 and I really enjoyed it, and then I saw this in person and I couldn't resist picking it up. So as I said, the kind of reason that it is in here is because the second one has nothing underneath, which makes me really sad. And even though these do match because they are both published by Source Books, that kind of niggled me that there wasn't something underneath it, because it's one of the reasons I have multiple copies of these on my shelf, because it is so beautiful underneath that dust jacket. And again, we have another size difference. This is the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black, but basically I haven't read this series yet. I very recently bought this series in hardcover because I wanted these beautiful hardcover editions and I wanted to get them before they went out of print. They were surprisingly easy to find. However, I basically bought this special edition of How the King of Elflame Learned to Hate Stories, which was our Waterstones edition at work, and I wanted this beautiful black edition. However, for some reason, there is quite a noticeable height difference in these the rest of the series and this book. I think mainly this is noticeable because this one is black and this one is so pale, but I just don't get it. Like, all of them match apart from the last one, well, the short story collection. How weird is that? I can't say that this is the same for the standard hardback. Obviously I don't own it, I don't know, but I presume it's also shorter. How weird! I don't really get it. I don't know if it was a purposeful thing because this has such a different design and is like an illustrated thing, and maybe the type of paper that they use is like different and that's why they needed it to be shorter, but it's just so weird. And then we're going to talk about a book that I don't own anymore because this was really annoying me, and that is Flame in the Mist by Renee Adaya. And I will put the cover that I had here, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. And I loved it, and it had deckled edges and it was so pretty. However, they never made a matching edition of the second book, which I believe is called A Smoke in the Sun. So I just never finished the series. I read the first one, I thought it was okay, I wasn't itching to carry on with it. And when I found out that the second book was only available in this edition, I decided I didn't want a matching edition of that set because I don't like those covers at all, and the first one was also available in a matching paperback, but I didn't want it. I wanted them to match in the pretty covers that I owned, and then my colleague Jo decided she really wanted that cover, even though like it didn't bother her too much that she couldn't get a second one. So I gave it to Jo because she appreciated it more than me, because I was just getting mad at it being on my shelf, so I got that one, got rid of that one. So I got rid of that one. And then we have a very similar situation with Once and Future by Corey McCarthy and A.R. Capita, and that was the Illumicrate edition, which again I will put right here. This one was very frustrating because again there was never a matching edition printed for the second one, which I think is called A Sword in the Stars. These have very similar titles and I'm confused now, but I think it was called A Sword in the Stars. And I really want to read it, I really liked the first one, however there was no matching edition of the second one to the Illumicrate edition. They didn't print an Illumicrate edition of the second one. But the other thing that really annoyed me was there was not even a matching size. Like, that was it. You couldn't get a matching, if you got the hardcover there would have been like a whopping size difference between them, and yeah, it was just really annoying. The closest I could find was to get like a trade paperback which would have matched height-wise almost, but I honestly decided that because the cover of the Illumicrate edition is very similar to the paperback, I'll put the paperback one here, I think I'm just going to buy the paperbacks because I would like to carry on with this series. It was sad to kind of get rid of that signed special edition, but Courtney was looking at it on my shelves and I told her I was thinking about getting rid of it, so it has gone to a good home. So the next one I would like to point out is Cassandra Clare's entire collection. So my Cassandra Clare collection is very mismatched, but what annoys me now, which I will put a clip of over this one so you can see, is that all of the hardbacks are slightly different sizes because some are published by Walker Books and some are published by Simon & Schuster, but the way I have them is in that particular order because of the series order that they're in, and I don't really want to move them around. However, looking at them all day in my room really does, really annoys me. And this is part of the reason why I bought the Fairy Loot set of Lady Midnight, the Dark Artifices Fairy Loot set, because it's going to be in hardcover, and I'm hoping that the height difference will be the same as the Rune editions and the Red Scrolls of Magic hardbacks as well. As you can also see, I have the Illumicrate Archive series, and although I absolutely love the Illumicrate Infernal Devices set and I think they are adorable, I wish they matched height-wise because, as you can see, they match the 10th anniversary editions perfectly, but they are so freaking small. And I don't know why they're so small. I think they're adorable on their own, but then I add them to my collection and I'm like, why? Why did you not just make them the same height? Anyway, calm. So the next one is kind of a last minute addition and is also more of a personal gripe than anything because I'm very privileged in the fact that I have a proof copy of this book, so I can't really moan too much. But that is the Deadly Education and the Last Graduate by Naomi Novik, because the proof copy, which is the one of the Last Graduate, doesn't match height-wise the first book. I also bought the standard hardback rather than owning the Illumicrate one, which I did because it was a really weird gold colour and it stood out so much against my dark books, including the second one, that I decided to just get this one, and they definitely match so much better. However, it really annoyed me when I got this beautiful proof, and I'm so thankful for this proof, and I don't want to moan about it literally after I just got it, but it literally doesn't match any editions of the Deadly Education. This is the closest that I'm going to get. I think this infuriates me more because the middle bits don't line up properly when they're flat on my shelves. Yeah, this one also has like a full ass dust jacket on a paperback proof, which is odd, but I like it. But yeah, this is like a minor gripe. Also, this is really weird because it has like a line down the back, which I have no idea why. That's a different colour. The cover's fine, I think. And maybe there's a line on the cover as well. It's very strange, I don't know. But yeah, kind of annoying. I spent ages seeing if I could get a paperback of the first one in like a trade paperback or an international paperback or something, and they don't really exist in this massive size that the proof is in. So this is the collection so far. Let's just see what the third one comes in this, whether I get the hardback or the proof of that one, I don't know. I might get the hardback of The Last Graduate when it comes out, just so I know I have a complete set. I'm now literally just adding every single gripe I've ever had with paperbacks and books in general, because look at this tractor. So this, I am honoured again to have a proof of A Heart So Fierce and Broken. However, instead of having a beautiful shiny set, I just have like that one in the middle, which is fine, and I actually don't mind it, and I've had this for a while and I've just kind of left it as is rather than buying the other paperback so it matches. However, I feel even more infuriated for people who don't have a proof of Also Bold and Deadly, because that one was only published as an American proof. I don't think the publishing company did them here, therefore it is bigger than the proofs of the first two, so I feel bad for those guys. I also want to give a quick shout out to The Smoke Thieves and the Demon World by Sally Green, because this one is like white, and then the second one is completely different, and also the first one has these beautiful sprayed edges and the second one does not, and I think the third one also looks completely different, which I just find this weird because they're all published by Penguin, and although I get what they've done and it does kind of match and the font matches and stuff, these just look so different to me. On the subject, I would also like to point out Ransom Riggs, who changed halfway through the Miss Peregrine series from Quirk to Penguin, and although they tried to keep a running theme with it, this is what the spines look like on my shelf. I don't know if this will pick up on camera, but the second trilogy, because I think of them as two trilogies, the first trilogy has a completely different spine colour to the other books. Okay, we're now going to go on to the books that inspired this video, which has basically just been one long rant, and I do apologise. And that is This Savage Song and Our Dark Duet and the Dark Vault by Victoria Schwab. So, I have a story with these books. This was the first one that I owned. I bought this around 2 years ago when I was going to meet V. Schwab at Yelk, and I bought this cover because I prefer it over the UK cover. I don't mind the UK covers, I prefer the new anniversary editions that they've done, but I preferred this one over them all, so I bought this one online. This is published by Green Willow and it arrived. It's in pretty good nick, and yeah, I've had this one. Then I decided and went on a bit of a binge a couple months ago, and I decided to buy the matching version of Our Dark Duet. So this turned up. I think you can probably already tell the size difference. How infuriating is this? Not only, so these are published by the same publisher, they're the same kind of format paperback, and there's like a size difference in them by probably around half a centimetre, maybe, like 5mm. But also, they look completely different. Like, it's not just me, right? They look completely different. Like, the tones in this one are so much darker than this. And like, having them together on my shelf is just, well, not making me happy because they look so different. So I then went on a hunt for the second one in a different format and found that weirdly, Green Willow published two paperbacks of it that are exactly the same in cover design, pretty much, but are completely different sizes. And yes, They look like that, and also, as you can tell, this one is definitely duller than the other one, the bigger one. So putting these together when it arrived, I have a matching set now, which is so freaking weird. So weird. I actually looked for a copy of this Savage song that was the same size as this, because even though this one is signed, I would have preferred to have had these bigger, like, shiny paperbacks, because these are both paperback, but like the shininess on this and the colours on this are so much more vibrant. I looked for a matching copy in this one and it doesn't exist, which is the other baffling thing, because why did they print one that was bigger when it didn't match an edition of this Savage song? Baffles me. I'm so mad. But anyway, it's all okay because I found a matching set and it's all fine. And even though these are a little bit bashed up and I got the second one secondhand from a library, I have coloured the spines in a little bit so you can't really see it. But then there is more to this story. I decided and actually found out that I wanted to buy the Dark Vault and that there was a cover that looked kind of similar but was published by a different publishing company. So this is The Dark Vault, which is a collection of the Archived and the Unbound by V. Schwab, and this is published by Hyperion, completely different publisher to these paperbacks which are published by Green Willow. However, don't they look kind of similar to you? Like, there's definitely a theme going on with these, with the like fancy lettering, and the font on the author's name is basically the same. So I was looking at this and Mark decided that he was going to buy me this copy. I was umming and ahhing about it, but we found one secondhand very cheap, and he bought me this just so we could see what it looked like in comparison to these ones, and you may have already noticed. Also, the other thing with this one is nowhere on the internet does this have a measurement. It says like 1 mil by 1 mil by 1 mil, I think, everywhere, which means that Nielsen book scan data probably doesn't have a measurement, because that's where everywhere gets their information from for books. So that's probably why this doesn't have a proper measurement anywhere. But so I bought this basically as an experiment. Mark bought this for me. It's very heavy because it's printed on weird paper and it's very shiny. And it arrived. And as you can probably tell when I picked this up before, it is bigger and more shiny than my copies of this Savage song and our Dark Duet. So it sits like this on my shelf, obviously with the series the right way around. And yeah, it looks kind of different but kind of the same. However, when you put it next to the copy of our Dark Duet, which I'm going to get rid of because it's too big, it's the same size. And it's the same kind of black tone. I cannot tell you how much this infuriates me and why this started off this video. Why? Why? I don't get it. I really don't get it. And also, I'm getting rid of this, there's no way I'm keeping this. But also, why did they make it match when there isn't one that matches in the Savage song? I don't know. I really don't know. This one is probably slightly less infuriating than if I had kept, like, these two together because they're part of a series. Like, I know that these are a different publisher, they could look kind of different on the spine, so it doesn't infuriate me much having these on my shelves together. Definitely not as much as if I'd kept this one and not been able to find a matching edition like within the series. However, it does really make me mad. And I feel like my V. Schwab selection is mostly really mismatched. But that's probably my own fault for having so many editions. I might actually get the standard UK paperback of this one as well, cause if I enjoy it, because I do really like the standard UK paperback as well, and that is why I was umming and ahhing about buying this one and why Mark bought it for me instead. But anyway, I think we've covered all of the ones I can think of off the top of my head that really, really infuriate me about different editions of books, different sizes of books. I'm sorry if this has been a really annoying and infuriating video to watch, but I hope you enjoyed having some kind of different ranty content from me, and I hope it was kind of fun to watch me get really riled up over stuff that doesn't really matter. But anyway, I'm gonna head off now. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, comment down below what your most infuriating edition of book is, mismatched thing, let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe to see less ranty videos from me in the future. Bye!